In 2024, something extraordinary happened at the Lagos Harbour. A ship loaded with the refined jet fuel set sail for Europe. Its destination, the Netherlands. For over a century, Africa watched its crude oil leave these same ports only to buy it back, refined at premium prices. But on this day, something changed. What you're about to see isn't just about one shipment of fuel. It's about a transformation so profound that Goldman Sachs and the IMF made their most shocking prediction yet. Before I tell you what they discovered, take a guess. Which country do you think will be more powerful in 2075? Nigeria or France? Remember, you are asking. So what will the world be like by 2075? It might surprise you that a country that is struggling with electricity cuts becomes one of the most powerful economies in the world. According to groundbreaking reports from the IMF and Goldman Sachs, by 2075, China will be the most powerful country economically with 57 trillion US dollars GDP, while India will follow with 52.5 trillion US dollars. The USA comes third with 51.5 trillion US dollars. Indonesia comes fourth with 13.7 trillion dollars, and Nigeria is staggering 13.1 trillion US dollar. It's going to be the fifth most powerful country on earth. But here's what makes this truly fascinating. France, the current global power, drops to 15th position. And even Egypt, another African country, surpasses France, Germany, and even Britain, their former colonial masters. So what do you think these 5 top economic giants by 2075 all have in common? The answer might surprise you. We have seen this in history before. The 1980s, China, a primarily agricultural society, per capita income under $200. Today, the world's second largest economy, challenging American dominance. Like Nigeria, China started with a huge population. Like Nigeria, experts said it could industrialize. Like Nigeria, it began by manufacturing what it used to import. But here's what is fascinating. Nigeria in 2025 has advantages that China didn't have in the 1980s. 1945, Japan post-war from devastation to technological leader. South Korea in the 1960s, from one of the poorest to one of the richest. But Nigeria had advantages none of these countries had. When you look at the top 5 countries that are going to be the world's largest economies, you will discover that they have something in common. The countries with the largest population. Look at India, look at China, look at Nigeria, look at the US, look at Indonesia. Now, countries like France and many other European countries without enough population will not really figure within the first top 10 economies in the world, because economy actually goes down to buying and selling. And you are not going to have a very strong economy if you don't have who to sell or who to buy. If a country is doing business, its first customer should be that country. You should be a market. Reports show that in the next 10 years, the number of African millionaires is going to increase by 47%. That's very huge. And that's why you see Nigeria living from the first 30 coming down right to the first 5. Because the level at which African countries are doing is actually tremendous. It has never been seen before. The Trans-African Highway, as we have just said, is almost complete, and it is going to be your force multiplier in businesses across the continent. It's going to increase intra-African trade from the current 15% to about 40 to 50%, and that's going to bring a lot of impact on the economies of several African countries. Egypt is another African country that is going to displace several countries across the world. Egypt is ranked the 7th most powerful economy by 2075, and this is due to several factors. It's due to the drastic increase in its population and its strategic location. Egypt is the gate man of the Suez Canal, and a very good chunk of the world's economy depends on that channel. For natural resources, Nigeria has abundant oil and gas. It has vast agricultural potential and mineral wealth. For the market size, Nigeria has the largest African population, It has a growing middle class and a youth demographic. Now, this is where everything gets interesting. Every day, 1.2 billion Africans use toothpaste. But here's the shocking part. Until recently, something this basic depended on materials imported from China. Then came a $20 billion investment that changed everything. Dangote oil refinery didn't just produce fuel. It unlocked access to LAB, a crucial component in everyday products that Africa used to import. Now think about it. What happens to prices when you stop importing and start producing? Every green transformation faces its demons. For Nigeria, infrastructure has been its biggest challenge. And when we talk about challenges, how do you move products across the world's second largest continent when roads are disconnected? For decades, experts said it was impossible. African countries were too divided, the distance too vast. But something remarkable was happening quietly. Today, the Trans-African Highway is over 80% complete. Now, let that sink in. It's over 80% complete. That means you can actually travel from Cameroon to Senegal on road. You can travel from Senegal to Egypt on road. You can travel from South Africa, Cape Town, to Cairo on roads. For the first time in history, Africa is connecting itself by road. But here's what makes this truly extraordinary. The next phase, something even more ambitious, connecting every African country by rail. Imagine goods moving seamlessly from Lagos to Nairobi, from Johannesburg to Kato. The signs are already here, from importing jet fuel to exporting it, from disconnected nations to linked economies, from raw material exporter to manufacturer. What we are watching isn't just Nigeria's story, it's the dawn of African economic independence. For centuries, Africa's economic story was very simple. Export raw materials cheap and import finished products expensive. But something unprecedented is happening. When Nigeria's jet fuel arrived in the Netherlands in 2024, it wasn't just a business deal. It was a symbol of a continent flipping the script. What do you think would happen if Africa starts producing what it used to import? Take a moment and think about it. Here's what makes this truly revolutionary. 1.2 billion people, that's Africa's current population. But it's not just about numbers. When a continent with the world's youngest population, vast natural resources, growing technological capabilities start producing instead of just consuming, everything changes. The signs are already here, from importing jet fuel to exporting it, from disconnected nations to linked economies, from raw material exporter to manufacturer. The biggest changes, they are just beginning. That ship carrying jet fuel to Europe wasn't just making a delivery, it was delivering a message. The future won't look like the past. By 2075, the world's fifth largest economy won't be in Europe, it will be right here in Africa, Nigeria. How do you think this shift will affect your country? Share your thoughts down in the comment section below. This is Hassan Wedbis and you are watching The Strategic Lens on Africa Today. See you in my next video.